Hello and welcome to the seventh episode of Crestie Conversations. My name is Josh. We are here on the Geckoverse podcast channel, and today we are going to be with Alliance Reptile Kollaboration, talking about reptile shows do's and don'ts. Before we get into that, we're going to be talking about what we did last time we were here. We had Wayne's Geckos on the channel in the chat. He was talking to us about how to make your media better for social media and how to come up with better ideas on how to make and edit videos. So, if you're interested in that, go give that a watch in the chat. And today we're going to be talking about reptile shows, do's and don'ts with Alliance Reptile Kollaborations. This is Zach and Steph. Hey Zach and Steph, how are y'all doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. So, for people that aren't familiar with y'all already, y'all have pretty much a whole zoo in your house.
Mm-hmm.
What all are y'all breeding over there? Because I know y'all have tons of animals.
You want to go?
Sure. We have about 260 crested and gargoyle geckos. We have a breeding pair of Chihuahua geckos, one leachianus gecko. We have God knows how many morning geckos. And that's just what we actually breed. But our house also has 4 cats, 2 bearded dragons, a blood boa, 3 ball pythons, a leopard gecko, and fish.
King snake.
Oh, and a king snake.
That is a lot. So what was that, like 300, 350 animals?
Somewhere around there.
I don't know.
I mean, you can count the 4 kids as 350 animals because that's
yeah. That was a lot of cleaning to do with the kids and all of the animals.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about where you're located at and how long have y'all been breeding crested geckos and other reptiles?
We're located in Winder, Georgia, so north central Georgia, not far from Atlanta. We got into breeding geckos, probably about 6 years ago. We had our first breeding pair,
somewhere around there, yeah.
and that was a breeding pair of crested geckos. We actually bought from my mentor, and
who's that?
Well, he's no longer in the reptile game, but he owned a company called What the Geck.
Okay, yeah.
Red Large, yeah. He actually mentored us and got us involved, and we kind of blossomed from that point. And
yeah, awesome.
Really, when it comes down to it, it was an odd passion because I'm in retail, and she was a student, and we were just like, well, what? We both like animals. Why don't we do something like this? We could see how much fun we could have with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally just bought the pair of Super Dalmatians, and
the one I have my eye on. I know.
So I'm talking about our original pair. So Pongo and Purdy.
Oh yeah, okay.
We bought them, and we were like, well, we'll just keep 1 or 2 breeding pairs, and see how that goes. Well, 1 or 2 animals turned into 50 or 60 animals, and
up from there.
Then quickly up from there. So
yeah, definitely, I know how it spirals out of control. Let's look at the comments real quick. Christian says, "Hey, what's up, Christian?
Hey.
Y'all here?"
Hey.
So, getting into a couple of the things that we haven't talked about on the show before, you mentioned that y'all have morning geckos and Saracenorum geckos.
Yes,
Yep.
we do.
Can you tell us a little bit about those? Pretty much, we've only talked about New Caledonian geckos. So, where are these geckos located at, and a little information about them.
So I'll let her talk about the morning geckos.
Definitely.
The Saracenorums are my project. The Saracenorums, I'll actually grab them out here. I have 2 different morphs of Saracenorum. They're actually from the New Caledonian Islands as well.
Okay.
I believe there's 8 species of geckos in the New Caledonian Islands. If I'm not correct, somebody correct me on that, but I'm pretty certain that's how many there are. There might be a few invasive ones as well.
I knew of 4, so 8 is more. I need to research that.
But you're grabbing the hardest one.
I'm grabbing the hard one first, getting that out of the way. This is my female.
Okay.
She's they would consider this a wild type. She's a golden speckled,
Okay.
but she is quite pretty.
Yeah, very pretty.
Kind of spazzy. They can be a little bit more flighty than your average crested gecko, but if you handle them a lot, I mean, they have the same temperament as crested geckos for the most part. They get a little bit longer and more lean than crested geckos, but I've seen 110 gram Saracenorums.
Oh wow!
So I don't know how accurate that is, with them supposedly being leaner than your crested geckos.
Well, they get longer. Their tail is almost as long as their body. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, how long do they live? Do they live the same amount?
They live, from what I read, they can live anywhere between 18 to 30 years.
Oh wow!
So I think average is 15 to 20, about like a crested gecko.
Now, when were these brought to the United States for breeding?
See, that's information I don't have yet. I really haven't looked into that part of it, but I plan on doing that myself as well.
We have looked into the species itself as far as wild goes, and they are actually on the decline.
Yeah, they're actually a threatened species now in the wild.
That's not good. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's pretty. He's a good boy.
Yeah, I like that.
He was produced by Moss Family Adventures.
Okay.
And I got him in a trade. Actually, I didn't pay a penny for the guy.
Nice.
And he's when I got him, he was only about 12 grams. He's 40 grams already.
Oh wow, very nice. Oh, and who do you have with you, Steph?
Oh, this is Cosmo, of course. I was just comparing his length.
Yeah.
Cosmo, because everyone knows Cosmo's big, and he's already Cosmo's length, and he's not fully grown yet.
Okay. Nice. But yeah, so you said same temperament as crested geckos. Are you gonna be hanging out with them if you have them as pets? The same amount as crested geckos?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's partly genetics, but also partly training. You have to handle them. You have to be consistent, and they're pretty cool. Especially Wishbone, he's really chill. Most days he just sits with you like this.
Yeah. I will say the female, she's a little spazzy, but that's because I didn't understand handling on them, because they are a little bit more flighty when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
But with him, ever since I got him, the first time I handled him, he was kind of spazzy, ran right up my arm, straight to my head, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just treat him like a Crestie, and that's what I did. He ran to my head, I grabbed him, and showed him that I wasn't a threat, and just kept holding him. And now he's probably one of the chillest animals we have. And I mean, that's saying a lot, because look at this guy here. He's just chilling. That's all he does. He's a potato.
That's cool. Yeah. So the longer and longer you work with them, the more calm, relaxed, and more likely to be around you longer.
They won't be paired until they're about 50, 55 grams minimum. So they get a little bit heavier because of the length of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both right at 40 grams right now. So probably next year they'll be my first breeding pair of Saracenorums.
The morning geckos are completely opposite of that. You can't handle them.
Yeah.
You can, but they're not fun to catch if you drop one.
Yeah, that's so wild that at least 3 of the New Caledonian species, the Gargs, the Cresties, and now the Saracenorum, are pretty much all very similar in care and
Same
everything.
with the Leachy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then same temperament and everything like that. Are they eating the same? Do they eat Pangea as well?
Yeah.
And then cricket dubia?
They are actually more carnivorous, but they eat the crested gecko diet as well. So we give them the crested gecko diet. We feed them the same as everybody else, and we give them dubia.
Okay.
That way, because especially the female, she's very responsive to live feeders.
Mm-hmm.
And she's basically wild. Like, she's cool to watch. Now, the species itself originally was what's it called?
Corelliphus?
Rhactodactylus.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually reclassified to Cerelliphus or Corelliphus Saracenorum in, I think, 2018.
Okay. Wow. Recently.
Yeah. So it has gone through 5 or 6 different scientific name changes and it's the same species, so all the way across the board.
Now, why do you think that they keep changing the name?
Because they're getting more accurate with their genetic testings.
That and as more species are discovered, they're like, wait, this one's more different than we thought.
Okay, interesting. So, Steph, I know you were gonna tell us about the morning geckos. Where are they from? Are they? You said they were complete opposite of the crested geckos.
As far as handling goes and temperament,
Okay.
They're not bitey or anything, but they're so flighty. They're insanely fast, especially the babies. But
Wait, don't we have one here?
Yeah, there's a baby right there.
I'll get him back.
They're more of a tropical lizard, right? Or gecko.
They pretty much have the exact care as a Crestie, actually. We have ours in a big bioactive terrarium. The entire colony is in there.
Okay.
But they're actually found literally every continent on the planet except for, Antarctica and the North Pole.
Wow, that's really cool. And
they're actually considered invasive in most countries, too.
I did not know that. That's really cool.
You're going to lose it.
How many morning geckos do you have now?
He's going to lose it.
He got away. Okay, we're good.
No, you're good. I've had it happen before on the show, too. I had one crawl under my laptop.
That's what it just did.
That's a baby morning gecko.
It's so tiny.
See if we can get closer to the camera for you.
Oh, I can see how you would lose it so easily. Oh my, how old is it?
About 2 weeks.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, and if you noticed, it's got a little nub on it on the end of its tail. That's because an adult got it before we could rescue it from the colony.
Yeah. But they grow their tails back, so fear not.
So is there like a limit of how many you could have in a colony together?
I'm pretty sure they limit themselves if you can't catch them and pull them out.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll naturally, consume the young if they can catch them. It's the circle of life.
Yeah, gotcha. So pretty much Cresties always have to be by themselves, but they can be in a huge colony. That's pretty cool.
They only have one egg socket as well.
Okay. No, they don't. They have two.
Those?
Yeah, you can see it on the females. You can see through their bellies.
Then I read wrong. That's my bad.
You read a wrong Reddit post.
Yeah, probably. It's probably a Wikipedia.
Yeah. All right. So, did you have anything else you wanted to show off to us before we got into the discussion of the reptile shows?
We picked out a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look at it.
Let me put Cosmo on my shoulder.
I'll say, if Christian, you're still in the chat, anything specific you want to see from them? He
hasn't even been here to see the collection.
No, he hasn't been here to see the collection.
I haven't either.
We know Christian in person. You do too, I think.
I believe so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've met Christian before.
So this one here, this boy, we produced. What's his hatch date? He is a Bordeaux and Sunkissed kid. His hatch date was 12/1/23, and this is.
He's pretty big.
Yeah, he's
2 years old. Okay.
I mean, yeah, they grow at their own rate, just like crested geckos. Where are you going, dude?
Not 2 yet. In December it'll be 2.
Oh, sorry. But yeah,
he's
little gargoyle boy.
Mm-hmm.
But see, we breed for structure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard good structure includes the horns. Now, can you show us, like, explain what the horns are and, like, why good horns mean good structure?
Yeah, I'll grab one out with more prominent horns so you can see on one of the adults. Let's see.
Is it on the table?
Sunkissed.
No, don't walk on the keyboard.
He made a mess of his enclosure.
Samantha, Little Exotic Jumper, says hello. Hey,
hello.
Samantha.
Hey, Sammy.
Thanks for joining the chat. Welcome in.
Cosmo says hi.
Says, hey, we're just going over and seeing a little bit of what is in Steph and Zach's reptile room and what they're going on over there, what they're breeding, what they're not breeding, all that.
You see those horns?
Yeah, the little horns.
That's the horns that you're looking for on a gargoyle. So the more prominent they are, the better.
Definitely.
And he's got some prominent horns. And then the girl that we paired him with has some excellent horns too. Which that baby you just seen, this is Dad.
Okay.
and mom is a really like maroon color.
Okay. Nice, nice. And how many gargoyle geckos do you have right now, or how many like breeding pairs as well?
I've got
He's doing a quick count.
18 adult breeder females and 10 adult males.
Very nice. So 20.
And I'm growing out that Bordeaux and Sunkissed kid, and I think I'm gonna let my super skeletal Tony. I'm probably gonna let him go once
Okay.
Once that baby's ready to go, because let's face it, that baby's unique.
It is.
Super skeletals are easy to come by.
Mhm. Samantha says, yes, they have some fire geckos. They do.
Yeah,
They
she's
do.
been here.
If you've ever seen them on Instagram or at a reptile show around, they have some very nice geckos.
I got this fire little girl from Roach Hollow.
Okay, yeah.
And this was a birthday gift to myself.
Nice.
Of course, she's fired down.
Yeah, she's fired down right now. When she's fired up, you can't see any of that gray. But even with that gray, she's still gorgeous.
Yeah, definitely.
But that one's that's probably gonna be my breeding pair once they're
real nice
ready.
Mm-hmm.
Just the saturation is gonna be crazy.
Real nice.
Please be fired up.
Not that we're fired up. Oh, they are fired up? Oh, yes.
So this is another one of my... He's a reticulated gargoyle.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like Steph at all.
No. He has a problem with me.
Were you mean to him, Steph?
No, never. He was mean to me.
His name's Octoon. And anybody that's ever been to the house has met Octoon. He's an awesome super retic.
Yeah, he's very pretty. I like that pattern.
He's a yellow base. When he fires up, he's black and white.
Interesting.
You can't even see the yellow at all when he fires up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got some babies that just hatched actually with our girl Meadow, who is a very nice retic as well. But she has orange super blotch as well.
Okay.
So we get some crazy little animals out of those.
This girl. This is Coral.
She's waving high. Hey, Coral.
She's a 66 het exanthic red lily white.
I love her. I love her white walls that she has.
Oh yeah.
We're waiting on eggs from her. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have some extra fire at the next few shows we attend as well.
Definitely.
This girl here was supposed to be a boy.
Yep.
But this is Onyx.
The Repticon.
No, this was a pickup at a Show Me Snakes and Reptiles show.
Okay.
I traded Geckos of Gaia for him, or for her actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's exanthic. So
Visual exanthic.
it's a visual exanthic. It's hypo exanthic. So she's already over 45 grams.
Mm-hmm.
She's obviously not ready to breed yet.
She's not old
enough. So,
yeah.
But she's gonna
just
cancel
a little reminder. Just a little reminder. Crested geckos go through puberty at like a year and a half. Me personally, I wait till at least 2 years old. Most of the time, I'm waiting a little bit longer, but I wait until at least 2 years old. And how long do y'all wait, Steph?
We usually wait till 3.
3 years, just to make sure that they're good and ready and able to produce.
Just because we've personally seen females get stunted and be forever petite when they were bred before 3. So we were like, you know what, we're not ever going to chance that. We'll just stick with the 3 as the golden rule.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I know y'all are similar to me. You also wait until at least 55 grams instead of the 45 grams, so that they have a little extra weight on them to lose.
Especially for the first year breeders.
For the females.
Yeah, for the female first year breeders. For more experienced breeders, we kind of already understand where their threshold is. So we can allow them to fluctuate a little bit more.
Definitely. Exotic World of Gecko says, "What's up, Josh, Zach, and Steph? What's up? Thank you for joining. I'm glad to see you here. We're just showing off a few geckos before we go over the reptile show's do's and don'ts."
This is Chester.
He does not want to be still today.
He's a 100% het exanthic lily white, red base with red phantom lily. Sorry, with red dots all over him.
Ooh, that's very interesting. I like that.
And he's when we got him, I got him for $650 as a 4-gram baby.
Okay.
I seen potential in him from the time I walked up to him. He was actually, I got him with a bundle deal. I got another 100% het exanthic, red base, lily white, him and male Chihuahua for $1,650. Which
nice.
that sounds like a lot of money, and
for the sum of them, you know.
Yeah, and the quality of them. I actually picked them up from Aquatics and Exotics.
Okay.
About a year ago.
Yeah.
A little bit over a year ago.
Coral
too. Yeah. We got her from Aquatics and Exotics as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, really, you know, just goes to show that, you know, everybody has something that you want.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter. Like we found stuff from other breeders, other vendors at shows that they're like, hey, I like what you got on your table. Do you like anything on mine? Let's make a deal.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's how we always trade up, and everybody's happy.
Definitely.
This one here, actually, Sammy and Jacob from Little Exotic Jumpers own the dad to this girl right here. This is Desire.
Ooh.
Hot Donna and Arised or Erised, whatever you want to call it.
She does not want to look at the camera.
Does she have yellow pattern on her too, or is that just white?
It's like
she's a tricolor red lily. If I could
very cool.
She's got some highlighter there though too.
Okay, yeah. Is it orange or yellow that I'm seeing?
It's red, orange, and yellow.
Yeah, she's got all three
with the lily.
That is so cool.
There's if you look at our Facebook page, you can see a better picture of her more clearly, or at our Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this camera's not as good as our shooting camera.
So she's almost
yeah, she hatched.
She's almost 2 years old.
9/23/23 was her hatch date.
Okay.
She's 38 grams and she's almost 2 years old. So we still got another year, but she's
Mm-hmm.
growing very fast.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Marina, hi guys, Mommy and Me Geckos here. What's up? Thank you for being here. And yep, amazing looking gecko. I could not agree more, Samantha.
I think we got one more to drop in here to show off a little bit, and then we'll get to the nitty and gritty of it.
Of course.
So this is a highlighter lily by the name of Ezekiel. We have some babies. He's actually produced by Altitude Exotics.
Big fan. Ooh.
He's a beast.
Again, love the white wall.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
if you see him in person though, it's bright yellow.
Mm-hmm.
No,
whitewash.
Yeah. There you go. We can kind of see it now.
Yeah, you say it a little bit. It looks more tangerine in the video, but in person, it's literally highlighter yellow.
Yeah, someone's dragged a highlighter across his back.
Like his entirety. There's there's no white on him. Whatever's supposed to be white is yellow.
Mm-hmm.
He's cool. Like we've got some fraps that we produced with him that are growing out right now. They're highlighter fraps, which you don't see that a lot. You see fraps with highlighter like trim.
On the baby.
There's a little highlighter frap.
Yeah.
That's one of his babies.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of folks, even our collaborators that have collaborated with us so far, a lot of our collaborators haven't even seen some of these babies that we're producing right now. They just because nobody's been over for a while, so it's It'll be a surprise when they see everybody.
Right.
Definitely, that's really nice. Okay, let me know if I'm saying this right. Is it Mariana? Am I pronouncing that right? For Mommy and Me Geckos? I was like, that gecko is very nice. I agree.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a solid trade on my part there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so with that being done and said, seeing all those amazing geckos and learning a little bit about Alliance Reptile Collaboration, Mariana, cool, awesome, glad to meet you. I'm glad you're here. Let's get into the reptile show's do's and don'ts. Okay, so we're going to be tackling this in kind of two sections. I'm going to go from a first time goer or just a going to look at the reptile show. Oh, I may get a pet, or you know what you want to get. You want to get a gecko, and then we're going to be looking at it from the breeder side, like what myself, Zach, and Steph do. When you go in, you kind of have a different eye for it of what you're looking for at the show and what you're doing when you're vending the show as well. Some tips and tricks to do, what and what not to do. So, with that being said, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Like I said, we're going to be doing the first section in tips for do's and don'ts for just avid goers or beginners in the reptile community. So, before you even go to the show, I recommend that you research some of the breeders or know some of the breeders that are going to be at the show so you can know what to expect. Or even if you don't want to research all of that, you can go to the website of the reptile show and they'll have a list of the breeders so you can see how many different crested gecko or tarantula or snake breeders are going to be there. And so you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to be seeing. Is that what you agree with?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And if you spot any that you're somewhat familiar with, try to look them up on social media too.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you're...
A lot of breeders will give a sneak peek on their social media of what they're bringing to the show.
Exactly. So
Blood Moon.
yeah, she does real good. I always I'll keep that for later, but
She's really good at doing that.
A little flash forward. I do like posting my parent pictures of the geckos that I have on my story first.
Oh yeah.
Before I go to the show, just so that people can see when they do end up getting a gecko, they can go straight there. That they're not immediately asking for parent pictures. Like, of course, I show it to them, but they can go there and see it first, and that's been really helpful for me.
Ours are on our morph market with the pairings on there, so we just point people to that.
They're we have ours on our morph market, on our Facebook page, and on our Instagram page, so people are 100% free to go look at all of our breeders, all of our new availabilities, all stuff like that, and that's
definitely
it's always helpful,
Exactly, to have more information out there, which also says a lot. For another do is when you're looking around at the tables, you want to make sure that you're getting to talk to the breeder if you're interested in getting a reptile from them, a gecko or whatever you want to get. Talk to the breeder a little bit, see what they know and may not know about what they're breeding.
Yeah.
In my experience, not all of them, okay, but I've seen a few times breeders that have tons of different species and tons of different reptiles, they don't know everything about them, or they don't know all of the details about every single thing that they're breeding.
Yeah.
Right.
Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah. And I get that.
It's a lot to keep up with. I mean, some people I see have 10 different species on the table. That is a lot of information to have to know every single thing. So I'm not knocking them for it.
Right.
If you're wanting someone, or if you're looking for someone really experienced in it, or that specializes in that specific reptile, geckos besides.
If there's one that you really want, you want to make sure you pick a breeder that specializes in that. I mean, yes, at shows we do sometimes bring in other species like bearded dragons or ball pythons and whatnot, but we personally know the breeder that they came from, and we can point them to them and be like, here, you could talk to them personally, and they'll help you out with any questions. But you're right about that, about having so many different things on the table. It's likely they could get overwhelmed and not be able to answer important questions about care.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so Another tip, if you're going to get a first time reptile, or if you're going for the 10th time, 20th time to a reptile show, look at what's on their table as well. Look at the state of their animals, see how they're being held, look at the condition of the animals. I've talked about when I do like weekly checks of my animals when I clean the tanks. I go through and I'm up there because, again, you don't just go up to a table and grab the stuff. Okay,
Right.
you always make sure you're asking for permission.
Yep.
One, so you're not
Yes,
taking
please.
the animal. Okay. And two, that so the breeder knows and is aware that a gecko is being picked up, and
Yeah.
it's always good for a breeder to know how many geckos are either out of the container on someone or are off the table, because things can happen.
Yeah.
People have stolen geckos off of tables before.
Yeah. Plus, the breeder should know the geckos well enough. Like, we've had people come up and ask to hold Nabisco, which anyone who knows Nabisco knows he never stops running. And if you know your geckos, you can tell that person, well, if you're up for the challenge, you can hold him, but he never sits still. So if you're inexperienced, we prefer if he didn't hold him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the walking up and just grabbing an animal off the table.
Yeah, because we usually have them walking around.
It's like we've actually experienced, people just walk up, and it's not usually the kids. That's the crazy thing. It's mostly adults that walk up and they'll pick up one of your animals without asking you or without talking to you.
Someone did
Please don't do that.
Someone did it to Salem, my bearded dragon, too, and I was like, oh my god, don't touch my baby.
So it's just like if somebody walked into your house and picked up your, went into your fridge and pulled up a piece of watermelon and started eating it and walking out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, don't mess with my food.
Exactly. Yeah.
I appreciate people that ask us, and I will gladly let you handle an animal.
Yes.
Exactly. It's not that we don't want you to do it. We just want to be aware, and so that we can have in mind, oh yeah, I have a gecko out over here, or I have a gecko out over here. I need to make sure that they get back in their containers.
Yes.
Because even if you're the most trustworthy person, people have stolen geckos from tables, unfortunately, as it sounds. So always make sure you're handling the animal over the table as well, just in case the animal jumps or tries to run if it gets spooked by anything.
Especially if it's a busy show.
Well, that's why I always come out to the front of the table. I always come to the front of the table and stand there with my hands underneath, because I know the animal's body language. I know which way it's going to go. And while they're holding, I can be like, catch, before he even tries to jump.
I tell people that too. When the gecko looks like they're about to jump, I'm like, okay, just letting you know he's about to jump. And
right,
like,
I tell them that too, yep.
Just so that
they might jump on you. Please don't freak out. It's not going to bite you.
I've had someone freak out before and the gecko fell. I was like, okay, thankfully that was...
Don't move, don't take a step, just stop.
Don't move.
Mariana says she agrees. Thank you. Yeah, I'll say it happens a lot that people just come up and grab reptiles off the table, but it's great if you are polite and...
Right. I mean, I took a severe bite one time from one of our former geckos. He found a new forever home, but it was the first time he'd ever been to a show, and he was already stressed.
He is a sweet gecko.
He's a sweet gecko. His name's Beetlejuice. But we had him up on one of the lights, and he was just hanging out. Well, a guy walked up and just picked him up roughly, and he turned and went to bite him, and I intercepted. So luckily, I caught the bite. But you never. That's one of the main reasons you don't just pick something up. You want to test the waters first.
Exactly, especially if you're unsure of how to handle that animal.
Yeah.
Best to ask the breeder, okay, how should I handle it or not handle it, so that you know what to expect from the animal. Yeah. And of course, for me, and I know y'all, we're raising these, or the time that we spent to get that gecko to be there, if we produced it, which a lot of the stuff that is on my table and on y'all's table is stuff that you've produced. Mm-hmm. For just conceptualizing the pairing to getting baby geckos, it takes 3 years for me at least to find the geckos, get them up to age, and then to figure out I want to pair them to each other. 3.5 to 4 years to actually get the geckos, incubate them, and get them to hatch. So we spent a lot of time putting the effort into getting the geckos to the table to where you see. And that is my next tip that I get to. You make sure that the animal that you're getting is of age and proper size to be sold as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I've seen at the past reptile expo that I went to, someone had, it could not have been more than 3-week-old Crestie geckos. That's at the max 3-week Crestie geckos. For me, and as a generalization in the hobby that I've seen, typically people wait till at least 5 grams.
Yep.
And typically for me, that's around 6 months into where you can figure out if you want to keep it or not. And it's good. You're making sure they're stabilized on the food and the crickets as well.
Yeah.
I know y'all have an interesting insight to that. Zach, how are you starting your babies out, like with the food? Like, what are you feeding, like when they're hatching, and then when do you introduce insects and bugs?
So we introduce the crested gecko diet the day we move them into the enclosure. So once we take them out of the incubator,
which is usually within
24 to 48 hours, that way they get their first shed off,
and they eat the yolk.
And they eat their yolk. We introduce the CGD in a tiny little cup. Not a lot, just a little bit, just to give them a taste
like a bottle cap. I use for all my babies.
We actually use smaller than a bottle cap. I'll show you. Steph's getting one out right now. It's literally it's a chocolate mold. You go to like Michael
or Amazon
and get the chocolate molds and have them ship them to you. You clip them, cut them in the middle. Then you got individual gecko bowls for cheap.
And they're silicone.
And they're silicone, so you can wash them in your laundry machine. If you wanted to.
I do it by hand.
Have you ever lost any in the washing machine with them being so small?
We don't use the washing machine.
We don't use the washing machine.
Oh, okay.
But our mentor actually, he used the pillowcases, the zipper pillowcases.
Yeah.
And put them in the zipper pillowcase and threw that in there and washed it in the pillowcase, so he didn't lose any.
Did he ever get the food to like clog it or anything?
That's my issue. I've seen it personally get all clunky. No matter how much washing you do, there's always that globs of food in the bottom that are still somehow solid. I don't know how.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
a little turd will be in there from where they.
Yeah. Right. Yes, that too.
When they poop in that water dish every time.
Yeah. Yes, I just dealt with that before we got on here. I was like, come on now. I threw the whole thing away. I was like, no, I can't do that.
Right.
But so back to the do's and don'ts. Another do that I know is bring cash.
Yes. Cash is king.
Cash is king. A lot of times breeders, not all of them, but a lot of the times I see breeders will give you kind of a little break or a little discount, won't charge tax if you have cash.
Yes.
Let's put it this way. I had a $450 animal on the table at the last show. A guy pulled out $300 bills, and he's like, "Will you take $300 cash?" I said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you put money in my face, I'm not.
Because we don't have to pay fees on that.
Nah. Yeah. It's hard to say no when there's cash in your face, and you're like, "Well, I can have it right now." Yeah.
Yeah, when they use the tap or the card reader or whatever, we have to pay fees on fees. So it's just it's so much easier with cash.
Exactly.
You still have to technically report it.
Yes.
But
Yeah, you do report it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're not trying to get away with anything.
No.
Hell no. IRS, leave us alone. I promise we're good.
Exactly.
We use H&R Block.
Yep, I use H&R Block for everything, so they got my back.
Now, what is a do that y'all would say would be good for first-time goers or intermediate reptile owners?
Listen to the breeder carefully. There's a lot of red flags that will pop up, but you won't notice if you're really overwhelmed by all the noise and distractions. They will know their stuff really, really well. Just like I was mentioning earlier, they know the personalities of their geckos. If they are a really good ethical breeder, they know their geckos. Even the ones that we have here that aren't technically ours, that we were originally planning on growing out and using and changed our mind or whatever, we still know them well enough. I mean, we feed them every 2 to 3 days, and when we do, we take them out, we handle them,
Speak to them.
We know them. So we try to explain to people the gecko, how they are. The biggest thing is that we tell people is geckos learn their people.
Yep.
People think that because they're a small reptile, they're dumb and they don't know anything, they can't
They
learn
don't have
it.
any feelings. They can't retain information.
Yeah, they are trainable and they learn their people.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually trained all of these geckos when we play music in the room to come to the front of the enclosures because they know they're about to get fed or
They're about to get handled. Yeah.
given treats or given crickets, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They come to the front of the enclosures. Before I touch them or handle them, I pet them, I talk to them, I pet them, then I pick them up. And I explain that to people at the shows too. Like, you want to make sure that you introduce yourself every time you go to handle your animal.
Yeah, you don't want to surprise them.
If you're consistent enough,
animals.
Yes, do not surprise you get bit.
I would say another thing that I like to do. A lot of times Crestie geckos are really flighty, so I start off by pairing calmer geckos, and like you said, having the music started,
big deal.
It helps them. It lets them know that you're in the room.
Yep.
It gets them calmer. I also, they say really loud noises make them drop their tails, and they can just drop them at any a drop of the dime or whatever.
Right.
They're not. I mean, I desensitized them. I didn't do it on purpose, but I moved to an area where I have planes going over me, and the train track is like a half mile away, maybe.
Yeah.
And so I have that noise coming all the time. And when I go to feed my geckos, I have the blender for the Pangea, and I blend it next to the babies.
Yeah.
So from a
we
very
desensitize too. We do the same kind of stuff. We play music. He games in the same room as the geckos, so he gets loud. Nobody drops tails.
Exactly.
We have 4 kids. Their friends come over. They handle the geckos. They play in this room sometimes. The cats come in and skibbity bap a little bit, but they never drop their tails, and they're all, for the most part, very chill. At least the ones we've produced in house and have raised. They're all desensitized.
Yeah, like you said, you're handling them too.
Yeah.
If you're handling a gecko like on a regular basis, they're gonna get skittish and run off again, just like a dog would or a cat.
Because they can only retain the information that you're safe for a very short amount of time. If you're inconsistent, they're gonna forget.
Yep.
Exactly.
Now I can count on one hand out of the hundreds of geckos we've produced
and have gone past
us. I can count on one hand how many animals have dropped tail in our care.
I think I've had 2 in my care.
I had to force drop 1 in our care, and
which I wouldn't consider. I
don't count that because his girlfriend bit his tail.
Yeah, he had tail rot from a bite.
But that's not like being scared or like dropping it from like person. No.
And then we had a baby drop tail as it hatched, and it ate its tail.
Ate its own tail.
Oh, yeah, I saw you post that. Yeah, I was like, that's so wild. I've never seen that.
and then
we had a baby doing it.
We had another baby eat a sibling's tail. Okay. And that's it. That's the only tail drop we've had.
So when we have them in the hatchery, it's every clutch is together. Every 2 eggs is in each little square. And I guess we just didn't separate them in time, and one of the hatchmates got the other one's tail.
Definitely. Unfortunately.
It doesn't change how cute they are and how the genetics work.
They're living.
Exactly.
So let's get back to the do's and don'ts. Another tip, like we were saying, get to know the breeder. Now, for me personally, I know a lot of the people at the shows. I enjoy talking to them about the geckos, about how the show's going, what they're doing outside of the show. And I love that because when I'm selling, it's someone at the table. So it brings others to the table because when you see someone at a table, subconsciously you're like, oh, there's something good over there I want to see.
Yeah. Right.
So it draws more people in. What I personally do, even if I'm looking at the geckos or whatever, but I'm talking to the breeder, I usually step to the side of the table one way or the other so other people can still look at the geckos and know my big self is not taking up a third of the table.
Right.
Standing there in front while people are trying to like look at the geckos. So that's something I do appreciate is people like hanging around the table and like talking.
We try to pull people either back away from the table so people can walk past or over to the side while we're talking about the geckos.
Now,
when you move back, it's kind of weird like talking over people.
Well,
Right.
no, I'm always at the front of the table. He's always behind the table because
Yeah.
his arms can reach over the whole table. My T-Rex arms can't, so I'm always in the front.
Yeah.
So like I encourage regular customers and regular faces. Like Josh, you've been a regular face of ours since we got in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And you've always been there. You've always been walking around. You introduced yourself to us when we were helping out at What the Geck. So
Yeah.
that's how long I've known you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's just in passing or we've grown to know each other a little bit better at shows and
Exactly.
and,
As time
and
goes
talking.
on, we gotten closer.
Exactly, and that's like I encourage everybody. Like if you're a regular, if you're a previous customer, come around. Come to the side of the table, get our attention, and I'll gladly sit and talk with you for a minute behind the table.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we've got coverage,
Yeah.
we're all about the camaraderie and seeing pictures of your animals that you bought from us and seeing pictures of animals you brought somebody else. I
Yeah,
don't
and
care
what
who
you're
you got it
breeding
from.
that year, like what you're up to, like what you're breeding,
Exactly.
and so,
Right.
what you just bought the other day. Like
We're
it's
we're
geckos.
all in
We
this.
like talked about geckos.
Right. We're all in this for the same reason. We enjoy the animals.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a good point that I want to build on because when people come up to us, I mean, even if it's obvious, like, hey, you got any bearded dragons? It's obvious we don't. We don't say no, sorry, and then turn them away. We're like, no, but I can give you this person, this person, this person's information that we personally know are
Right.
good, reputable breeders, and you can go
Exactly.
to them. This one's over here, or you're going to have to personally contact this one, kind of thing. Like, we don't just say no, sorry, and send them on their way. We get them into the network. Like, hey, we
Yep.
know this breeder's great. Go here. Or even if they come to our table looking for a Crestie and we don't have exactly what they want, we're like, well, we know this breeder, this breeder, this breeder. They're there. Go over and see what they have.
Yeah, like, I'll gladly keep the gecko. It's okay.
Right.
You don't have to convince me to keep another gecko. I want to make
Yeah.
sure you're getting what you want
Right.
Exactly.
for either a pet or your breeding goals. Like,
Right.
it's up to you. And building on what you were saying, talking to the breeder, figuring out what they do, don't do, what they know, may not know. If you've talked to other breeders at the show or before, and they're telling you stuff about it, about the animal that you're looking at, and you're like, I'm not sure that's right, that'd be a couple red flags going off.
Right.
A lot of the times, like, I know I can pretty much look at a gecko and be like, oh, that's the morph. I mean, not with caps, fraps, and the new stuff, but
Right.
the basic population of geckos, I can look at and tell what the morph is.
Mhm.
But I'll still get confirmation and see what they know about the gecko, just to see where I'm gauging at with the gecko.
Right.
Yeah, we do the same thing, and on social media too. Unfortunately, we have to correct quite a few people in there.
We don't have to technically; we just choose to for the better of the community.
Well, I mean, when it's really far off, yes, we try to politely correct when they have the morph way wrong. But that's a good indication of a red flag. Is if you do a little bit of research, you can know the general morphs. And if someone gives you something that's completely off what it obviously is, that's a red flag. They don't know their animals.
Right.
So,
and if a breeder or a vendor tell you pet only, don't come back next year and tell me that you've been breeding this animal, because that's the worst thing you could do.
For a reason, like for the health of the animal. It's not about what you want to do with the animal. It's about
not that the breeder's being greedy and doesn't want you to breed it. No, it's for a very good reason. They saw something in the lineage that you should not pass on.
Exactly. Like, that's why most people have like adoption fee of $50. It's not because we're trying to just sell a discounted gecko. No, it's because there's something wrong with the gecko.
It's either pet quality or genetically something wrong.
Right. But we still invested time in it, so yes, we're asking for like $50.
Exactly. And
well, a lot of time the rehoming fee is exactly that. It's to make sure that this person has the finances to take care of this animal. If they don't have $50 to drop on an animal, they don't have the $100 a year to feed it.
And then that's the other thing. The person that you're buying from should be asking you if you have somewhere for it to live already.
Yep.
If you have someone just trying to push a gecko onto you, that should be, or an animal, a reptile onto you, any animal, that should be a red flag too, because
Yeah.
they should want to tell you how to care for the animal, how to provide the best life for the animal. And so if they're not that, or if you're having to really pry for like information and they can't tell you a lot just because they don't know or whatever the cause may be, that would be a red flag and be like, I may
Right.
want to look at someone else. Now, this isn't just to dissuade you from that specific person, but it's just stuff to think about when
Yeah.
you're shopping for animals at a reptile expo.
Right. Yeah, we try our very best to ask people, hey, are you new to geckos? Are you experienced with geckos? If they're new, we say, okay, well, what are you thinking about for an enclosure? You want to go bioactive, simple, somewhere in between? And we try to, point them in the right direction based on their budget and their experience.
Yep.
More experienced people, we pry less, especially for repeat customers. We're like, no, you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
We still give them a care sheet every time a repeat customer.
Even if it's a repeat, every time we put in that care sheet.
That's something I really like, that what y'all do is they'll have that care sheet to give people. I have one just posted on my table, and then I'm always saying, ask me any questions, because even if, like, sometimes people can't read whatever you're saying right or misinterpret what you're reading. So I'm always saying, if you have a question, anything at all Crestie Gecko related, please ask me, because I want the best for that animal.
Right.
We do the exact same thing. We're like, our personal numbers are on our business cards. You can contact us on social media if you're not comfortable with talking on the phone, email, whatever. We have all the options. Please, no question's a dumb question. We want the gecko healthy and you happy.
Exactly. Which comes to our next don't point. Don't buy from someone that does not have any stickers, cards, a name on their table, because yes, it does happen. It'd be weird if I said more than twice, but it has happened more than twice that I've seen personally, that they don't have a name on their table. They don't have a way for you to contact them after the show.
Right.
That's not someone, they have how to pay them. Okay,
Right.
that's not my personal opinion. That's not someone you want to buy from, because if you have any questions about that animal, the main person you want to go to is the person that brought that animal into existence.
Right.
Yep.
And so if they don't have a way for you to contact them or anything besides just pay them, that is a major red flag.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're walking by and you see something that looks sickly, that's a red flag too. I mean,
exactly. So
yes, it happens sometimes. You especially if you travel more than 10 hours to get to a location. Sometimes you have a sick animal, but it's your job as a breeder or a vendor to make sure you're monitoring your animals as you're putting them on the table.
Yeah.
It's
make sure they look well and are behaving normally before you place them on the table.
Exactly. Like I was saying with the health checks, make sure that the animal is acting right, is walking around okay. I always like to, that's why I like going to reptile shows. I get to hold the animal.
Yes.
So I can see their temperament, if they're extremely flighty and I'm wanting that for a project like to breed. I don't want something that's really flighty. Like, again, I can work with them and train them to be better, but if they're just all over the place immediately, that's something that would dissuade me from getting a gecko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then breeders that don't let you touch the animals, whether there's several reasons why that could be. If there's known animals at that expo that have mites or some kind of condition that could affect your animals, I personally have not let people touch my animals after that, after finding that out. I don't care like how much Germex you're using. I'm going to use what I think, just not even going to let that be a possibility to harm my animals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, thankfully, most of the people who run the shows have gotten really good about staying on top of that. And like anyone who has brought anything like mites or anything else to the show have been completely cut off. They're not allowed to do it, not allowed to vend anymore, because they put everybody's animals at risk then. And that's why we have 2 hand sanitizer stations at our tables before and after you touch our animals. Please use it.
And most show owners will work with the breeder or the vendor, if something like that does occur.
Yeah, but if it's a repeat,
if it's a repeat, they cut them off. and I've seen it personally. It's
Yeah.
it's a crapshoot, but it's what's best for the community, and it's what's best for the customer and the animal at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. It's their feelings don't matter. It's the animal's feelings that matter.
Exactly. And that's the kind of attitude that you want to see from someone that you're buying an animal from, that you want to see. And a lot of them, it's obvious that they have a passion for the animals and that they want to see the best for the animal.
Right.
So it's really cool to see that and see the spark behind them and why they're breeding and what they're doing for the hobby and for the animals themselves. So, do we have any other do's or don'ts for first-time vendors? Or not vendors, sorry, first-time goers or anything like that?
Goers.
Any goers?
Don't ask to hold the axolotls because you can't.
What? Seriously?
Legit. I was standing next to an axolotl breeder at one of the shows.
Oh my God.
And a grown man walked up and was like, "Hey, can I hold this axolotl?"
You're like, no.
I just kind of looked at him like, "Are you joking around or what's going on here?" And he was serious, 100%. I want to hold this. I want to hold this fish lizard. Yeah. Like, sorry, dude, you can't do it. I was like, it's not even my animal, but I'm going to tell you no.
Yeah.
Fish, you can't hold this.
Yeah. Another tip I would like to say is, if you're going around and you have something specific in mind, or you see a gecko or animal that you're like, oh, this is amazing, I gotta have this. Don't sleep on the animal, okay? Just because it may be $400 or $500, if you love the animal, get it, okay? Because the probability of someone else seeing that, because there's hundreds of other people there at the expo that you're at.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the one that likes that gecko.
Yeah.
Get it when you see it, okay? Because I've seen so many people have FOMO because they've been like, oh, I love this gecko. I really want this one. Let me just do one more lap around. And then they came back around and someone bought it from them.
Yeah.
Or I had that at one of my Show Me Reptile shows. This guy just kept walking around. There was actually two groups of people kept walking around. And this little boy came up and bought the gecko that the dad and daughter wanted. Literally, they came back up to the table to buy it, and he came up. He was like, I want it. I was like, bring me your mother, or I was like, your guardian, and I can do that. And it turned, he was a kid of one of the breeders that was there. I didn't know, but she came up, and I was like, can he have this animal? And he was like, yes. Another tip, do not let someone just sell your kid under 18 an animal.
Right.
That's irresponsible. Okay. So
but your point about taking the gecko as soon as you see it, especially ones that look interesting or different from what you normally see, grab it right away. But also on that subject, 99% of breeders are willing to haggle. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to put out an offer.
I mean,
and a lot of
if it's like $1,000, don't say, "Will you take two?" Okay.
No.
Don't be insulting like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't say $200. No.
A lot of breeders are also willing to work out payment plans too.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always ask. It never hurts to ask.
So exactly, especially on the second day of shows.
Yeah.
About the not sleeping on animals.
Mm-hmm.
That gargoyle I showed you, the little female, the orange and black one.
Yeah.
That was I didn't sleep on it gecko. That was Steph's thing. It was my birthday that Sunday, and it was day one, and we were walking around, and she'd been sneaking around and talking to Stephanie at Roach Hollow, and she gave it to us for $1,000. Yes, $1,000 seems steep. It is, but for that quality of an animal, it was absolutely worth it, and we didn't sleep on it. Just like a trade we did for a $2,800 crested gecko we had on the table. 100% had exanthic lily. Yeah, she's going to go get the trade that we did for that gecko, and it was at the same show.
Because how many eggs are a gargoyle gecko laying?
They lay 2 at a time, just like Cresties.
Well, how many? Like 8 to 10? Do you usually say 12 to 14?
Gargoyles are finicky.
They're finicky, so sometimes they'll lay 8 to 10. Sometimes they'll lay 1.
Okay.
and it really they'll hold sperm for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So and any time in that 2 years, they can be like, okay, I think I'm going to drop a set of eggs. And so that's why with gargoyles they're a little bit more difficult to breed. That's why a lot of people breed groups. So we don't do groups. We do 1-to-1.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's
Easier
we
to
could
track
track lineage.
Yeah.
This is what we traded Hyacinth for. Hyacinth she almost looked identical to Coral, but with more lily coverage.
Ooh, I like that.
This is Sakura. She is a het melanistic leachianus. I can't remember. Is she GT mix?
Yeah, she's GT mix.
Okay, definitely. And that's another thing. If you're breeding and you're shopping a reptile goer, you're going to be breeding that animal, ask for lineage, because it's important to get lineage and to know. Not all the time for every project you're not going to have lineage, or you're going to be. Sometimes the gecko is just so awesome that you're like, okay, I can kind of get past not having lineage for him, but then keep it from that point on.
Like that one I just picked up from John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That Dalmatian that you like.
Mm-hmm. That's Tarantula's Den.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He don't have lineage on him. Mm-hmm. I don't care because he's a gorgeous animal.
Right.
Exactly.
And he's going to fit my red Super Dalmatian project anywhere I want to put him.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Super Dals, I did, even though I couldn't get the lineage on like Dr. Dot that is now with Geckos of Gaia.
Yeah.
He didn't have lineage for her because it was someone off Craigslist, but I was like, I love her, I gotta have her. But I was like, do you know what state she came from at least? And he's like, yeah, it came from a breeder in Florida. So at least I can try to either look for that breeder, or at least I know if I'm getting other Super Dalmatians or red spot Super Dalmatians, don't buy one from Florida.
Yeah. Right, because it might be related.
It might be related.
Let's put it this way. Have you ever looked up the list of how many breeders there are in Florida?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly. So like even though it's like red spot and like not a lot of people work with it, there's still going to be a lot of people that have it like in Florida. There's just a lot of breeders, and so at least I know going forward, try not to get a breeder to mix with that lineage for that line that I have, the Super Dallas.
Right.
To mix another Florida line in, just to be safe, to not get into inbreeding.
You just go through Tiki's. He's got so much variety going on there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about it.
Definitely. But yeah, so that concludes that section for goers of reptile shows. Now we're going to go into a more of a breeder standpoint, whether you're selling or going to the reptile show as well. So again, like we said, cash. Bring cash so you can have change for all of the people that are bringing cash to you, putting money in your face for an animal, and you're like, oh, I have to take it, but I need change. Have change. A lot of times people will be nice. Breeders around you at tables will be nice and give you some change, but don't rely on them. Hey, can you break 5 $100 bills for me and give me $10 bills and change? Yeah. So, but definitely have cash. Have paper towels to change out even if you're having them on a different medium.
Even if you think you have enough, bring extra.
Exactly. I usually bring a whole roll. I mean, I take a lot less geckos. I have a lot less geckos than y'all. I haven't brought more than 20 geckos to a reptile show yet. Y'all have a lot more than me. You probably have like 2-3 rolls going on.
A little bit more.
We usually bring 2, and we go through at least 1, usually 1.5.
Yeah. So have trash bags, or I usually bring little Kroger bags, something for trash cans. Yeah. You're not always going to be lucky enough to have a trash can in your little section provided by the expo hosts. So have a little trash bag so that you can put the poopy paper towels in, or the wet, used up paper towels.
Yeah.
In.
My number one.
Y'all have.
My number one is to get you one of those.
A Zach?
No, not the Zach. That paper on the wall.
Oh, what's that thing on the wall?
That's a pet dealer's license.
Yes.
Pet dealer's license, yes. Most shows require them. Not all do, but it's good to have a pet dealer's license. And
in Georgia, you have to have it. Check on your state regulations as well as county. A lot of times it's county specific. Sometimes the city has some say in it. It really depends on where you're located, but you have to do your research and make sure 100% whether you need it or not. Don't just guess. Don't just assume because someone gave you information. Like, do all the research you can to make sure so you don't get fined.
Yep.
Typically they'll have it posted on the expo that you're going to. They'll have the requirements for that, but you can always email, call the person hosting the show and say, hey, what are the exact requirements that I need?
Right.
When you're going out of state, you have different requirements.
Yes.
You have the travelers, all that, and especially depending what state you go to, it could be a lot easier than what you're currently doing or a lot harder than what you're currently doing to get licensed.
Well, a lot of times when you go to different states, they want what your state requires, which is for Georgia, the pet dealer's license, and a license just to simply sell something in the other state.
Exactly. And those things are kind of costly as well.
And Florida is one of the most difficult ones because they require multiple different licensings to make sure you're not bringing in invasive species and whatnot.
And because so many breeders are in Florida trying to regulate what all is there. So, yeah. Another thing to bring with you is a positive attitude and a willingness to talk to people. Okay?
That's for sure.
Yes, 100%.
You're pretty much putting on a show the entire time. You have to be able to be happy, upbeat. No one wants to buy something from someone that's just sitting down the entire time. Be like, that's a gecko.
Or standing behind the table just nodding or waving. Like, no, you have to address every single person that walks by.
Because you don't know who's going to buy what. You don't know if they have one gecko or no reptiles, or if they've been doing this for 20 years and have 500 geckos at home like y'all, and they're wanting to buy. Like, I've had people that haven't even gotten into Crestie geckos yet, and they're like, oh, this is really cool, I want to get this. And you're like, okay, cool. But you start that with, hey, how are you doing today? What are you looking for exactly? Even if they say, oh, nothing specific. I'm like, okay, well, these are Crestie geckos. They come from New Caledonia. They were actually rediscovered in 1996. Did you know that? They were thought to be extinct. Get something, have something to get them interested in it, and then you can start telling about the care and how awesome the geckos are. Did you know they have permanently closed invisible eyelids? So you'll never beat them in a staring contest. I was like, look, you can try. And, and then they start looking at the gecko, and when you look at the Cresties' face, they're adorable.
Yeah.
Right? So it makes it a lot harder. Yeah, exactly.
We always bring up their spatulae and how it's like a molecular bond. People find that science stuff really intriguing.
Exactly. Be like, oh, look how beautiful. Even if you think it's a basic gecko, be like, oh, look how beautiful this orange patterning is. I love how it's coming up, the harlequin. If you pair it with this one over here that I have, you would see that real progression in that patterning come out, or in that trait or the structure of that animal. Try to always be like a little salesman, but watch out for people that are trying to push you into getting a reptile. Okay, there's a difference between selling and informing someone on reptile that you're looking at, and someone just trying to get money and push the animal out.
When we have someone looking at a juvenile, and they're kind of on the fence about it, and we point out hey, I have the parent pictures if you want a better idea of what this kid might look like as an adult. And I can tell you from my experience, this one will look like this, most likely, but I can show you the parents. And they're like, wait, you have parent pictures? Yeah. We pull them up and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I was like, and I tell them hey, I'll send these to you. Just message us after you get home and we'll send you all the pictures you want, even pictures of when they were first hatched until, what you have now and the parent pictures. And then you have the whole family album. And a lot of people really like that.
Exactly. Having information is really important for your buyer. The more that you can prove to them or show them that you know what you're talking about, this gecko, what you're doing, the more red flags or they're barriers are going to be down. They're not going to be guarded. They're going to start trusting you more. I've had so many people come up to me and be like, I came back to you just because of like how knowledgeable you were of the geckos and like, how like good your geckos look. And I'm like, well, I really like that means a lot to me because
it does.
Like, all of like the really good breeders, we put a lot into it, and not just selling geckos, but into the animals themselves. And we love the animals, and it means a lot when other people can like see your passion. Like I don't need the validation at all, but like it's really cool to see like other people can see your passion and like drive for the animals. So what would you say is a don't for reptile breeders going to or vending a show?
Don't forget to miss them Saturday night.
And feed them when you buy them.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're buying a gecko, feed them that night. Typically, I feed my geckos before I go to a show, but again, you don't want them waiting.
Yeah, we tell everyone, like, we've had a lot of people buy a gecko. They're like, okay, so when's the next feeding day? And we always say, just feed them when you get home.
Exactly.
Like, your own schedule.
It's not going to hurt them, okay? Like, you can make up your own schedule.
Yeah.
I feed them these days, but you don't have to keep that. I mean, just still keep a regular pace for them.
Right. They're not counting what day they're on. They're just counting when the food's coming. That's it.
Exactly. And so you don't want to have them miss out or like be hungrier than they should be. So feed them when you get them home. And then, like Steph was saying, missed the enclosures. Make sure. I always like to find out if the venue is going to keep the lights on or like if the heat's going to be on, just to make sure I'm taking care of my animals. If the lights are going to be on the entire time, I'll close the lid on it. Again, it's ventilated where I keep my animals in so they're overnight. Or if it's going to be too cold, if I'm doing a show in the winter, I take the animals home with me or to the hotel I'm at, just to make sure that they're okay.
Right. I don't for me is don't assume just because someone is abrasive that they're angry or that they're negative, because let's face it, you're in a world of reptiles. There's a lot of weird people out here, and we all like reptiles.
And we're some of them, okay? We're not putting that out. We're some of them, okay?
Right. We are definitely weird.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. She is not. But when she's at the shows, she's more bubbly than I am.
Exactly, because you're talking about something that you love.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. You come to my table, I'm gonna sell you a gecko. That's just how it is. I could sell rubber to a monk. It's not about that though. It's like legit for me. It's about getting that animal to a forever home. And I don't care if I make $20 on the animal or $2,000 on the animal. At the end of the day, if that animal went to a good home, I'm happy.
That's all that matters.
That's like you'll have vendors that you'll meet where I was talking about the abrasive folks. You'll have people that either they seem like they're pissed off or they just don't want to talk to you. It's not that. They're probably just antisocial or awkward.
Or really tired.
Or really tired. Yeah, some of these people, like you gotta think, like South Tex Gex, he's actually who produced her. He has to drive like 14 to 16 hours to get to the shows here in Georgia. He's in South Texas. Wow. And that's then there's a vendor that was at the last show, the Reptilian Nation Expo. They were from California.
Wow.
That's the opposite side of the country, guys. So they're tired. So day one as a vendor, day one should be good, but when you're loading in, don't expect everybody to be happy and talkative.
Right.
Because everybody's there for business on day one, on load in. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, opening day, everybody's going to have a smile on their face for the most part. Everybody's going to be happy and willing to talk to you. Mm-hmm. So keep your head up. Don't get down. Don't get your feelings in a bunch because somebody refused to speak to you when you said hi. They probably got a lot on their mind. They're trying to get everything situated.
They have 50 animals they got to get inside and make sure that they're taken care of. They're not thinking about this random guy that wants to come up and start a conversation about animals at that time. Tomorrow, yeah, sure.
Right, tomorrow before the show, come on by. Mm-hmm. Say hi. And that's when you do it. When on day one, before the grand opening, which a lot of shows open early for VIP. Before VIP, so most people will be there between 7 and 8 if the show opens at 9 for the VIP. So go around at 8:30. Walk around, say your greetings to people that you know.
Mm-hmm.
Talk
see
to
what animals you like.
Exactly. See what animals you like
before the general public can come in.
Exactly.
Even the VIP.
And there's a good chance.
I've sold geckos and bought geckos.
Yep.
In the time before the expo even starts.
There's a good chance that you get a killer animal at a discount price because you're a vendor.
Exactly, and if you're a vendor there and like they know you're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll give you a little bit off or whatever.
Right.
I don't expect it.
Trades.
Yeah. Trades.
Exactly. I always wait for Sunday to do trades.
Yeah.
Because Sunday people are more willing to trade.
Well, it's less you got to pack up and bring home.
Or sell at a really, really good price.
Exactly, and sometimes breeders just need more space.
Right, like us right now.
Several shows that I've been to, I was in the situation where I just needed space. So I was like, yeah, I'm willing to handle a little bit more if, like I'm still making sure they're going to good homes and everything, but I'm willing to go down a little bit more on the prices if I need the space.
Right.
I was say
that's been us the past couple shows because we have we have all those eggs going to hatch and still more eggs coming, so we need to make room on the baby racks. Mm-hmm. So as far as the juveniles go, we've been giving crazy deals.
Yeah, guys, Josh got to see our incubators yesterday, so he knows what we got coming. And
cool. It's a lot of heat coming.
150 eggs, give or take.
Yeah,
there's a lot of geckos coming out.
So far.
Yeah. It's not the season.
Season ain't even over yet.
Still starting for some people.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't get one pair to get together.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on, but
we keep our room temperatures between 73 and 77.
It depends on the
day. Depends on the day. How hot it is outside.
Yeah. This last heat wave, our main system for the house was actually struggling, so we had to turn on the window unit too. And that obviously brought the room down colder than we normally have it, but we had to help out the system. It was struggling.
Yeah. So that being said, that probably slowed down the breeding process of my gargoyles for a minute. But I mean, they've already dropped 6 eggs since then. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
But you touched on it a minute ago, Zach. When you're a breeder and you're vending a show, you're there for the entire show. Okay.
Yes.
Make sure you have no idea when your sales will come. Okay. It could be the very first minute that people come in. Oh, I want this gecko, or it could be the very last minute. I've had last minute sales because I looked across the room and like 10 tables had packed up of like a 30 table show.
Yeah, we've seen that many times.
And people were like, "Well, I wanted one over there, but they already packed up and left." And like the show ends at 3:30, and it was like 3:25. And they're like, well, I liked this animal a lot too. And then I was like, yeah, definitely. And I told them, I was talking with them throughout the show anyways. They come back to the table a couple times. But I was like, yeah, definitely. I had everything out still. And they're like, yeah, we want this one. We want this one, definitely. So, and that was within
every show we have that.
Exactly.
Every show.
Exactly. So make sure you're set up and ready to go when the show starts. Yes. And stay to the end of the show.
And be at the table. Mm-hmm. Always have someone at the table. Always.
I'm going to say, go ahead, Zach.
If you're a solo like Josh, you don't have that option. You have to be at the table.
Well, he could call one of us to come into his table.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. That's how you make friends and you're friendly with your table mates. Because you're like, hey, I have to. It's been hour 6 of standing here. Can I please run to the restroom real quick? And so they're like, most of the time they're like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, you're not expected to sell an animal, okay? I don't want you to do that. I just want to make sure nothing gets stolen.
Right. Well, that and like if someone walks by your table and they like to do multiple rounds before they purchase, and they see no one's at your table, and they see no one's at your table, guess what? They're going to skip your table.
Exactly. They're like, well, I guess they don't want to talk about it, and I can't get any information on the animal. So
right. And I'll be honest, as a vendor, I have actually walked around tables and I've seen animals I really like or I'm really interested in, and the vendor is like on the other side, like they had an island. It's happened so many times. Or they have like 4 tables and they're on the other end. They're not even talking to anybody. They're just on their phone or just doing something. And I'm literally standing there and they kind of turn and I know they can see me. And they just like, what do you, okay, fine. I'll move on.
But no, it's funny.
Like, how can you miss this? I know you can see me.
Exactly. But no, you'll be at the table selling geckos, talking to people, and then Zach will be in the other side of the reptile expo talking to people, talking about reptiles. And you're like, have you seen Zach? I need him to
Yes! I've asked so many people that. I'm like, my husband's here somewhere.
Yeah, they're like, he's around here. He's supposed to be helping me, but he's talking about reptiles and lizards over there.
Hey, I gotta make my web
Exactly.
wide. You know what I mean?
But no, you didn't leave the table unattended. You're good.
Exactly. So
it's funny.
You know, the name of our company is Alliance Reptile Kollaborations.
Exactly.
And our key word there is collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm all about spreading our word with collaborating with friends and making a tight-knit community again.
Yes.
And it like the community's falling apart to an extent.
It's gotten better.
It's getting better on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with how we treat everybody. And that goes for you as well. And that goes for, everybody, really. I mean, anybody that has been at the last few shows, everybody that we've spoken to, they're all, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? You know, that sort of thing. And
it's not so cutthroat. At least it hasn't been recently.
Yeah, the last shows.
But that's what we're about. We want to not only better the species, but better the community, so that even people who aren't breeders don't feel alienated when they're trying to come in and learn or even try to get into the business.
Exactly. And something kind of related to that topic, if you're selling at a booth or at a show, don't go over to someone else's table and be like, hey, come look at my animals, or I have something better than that I think you would like.
Right.
Don't try to like steal a sale from someone. Like, if
no
they
poaching.
like your animal enough, if they like your animal enough, they will come back to you. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't go try to like shark out deals with other people.
So,
I mean, if you're in the middle of a deal, like, oh, you're between 400 and 500 on an animal, yeah, okay, do that. But don't be going around doing bad things.
Right. So
it's not fair. It doesn't look great, and it's, to me personally, it comes off worse than just standing there because you're trying to take the attention away from someone else, and we're supposed to be there with each other. I don't see anyone as competition. Like, oh, they're gonna. If I see them sell 2 geckos and I don't sell any, they're the reason why I didn't sell any geckos.
Right.
It's all about your attitude.
Exactly. It's about your attitude with it. Like, you always have to go, like, we're working with animals. Animals make you happy.
Yep.
Be happy around the animals and don't put negativity out there. I always try to put a good face forward and always be happy and friendly with people. Even if someone gives me, like, resting bitch face, they don't even mean it. Like, be
I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Yeah, everyone has their own. Not everyone's mean, okay? Not everyone is gonna think badly of you, okay? Just because you have like insecurities or something, like I know I have, doesn't mean they see it, okay? Be interactive, be social with people. They're not gonna care. Oh, I have a zit right here, or my butt is too big, or anything like that, okay? They're interested in the animals and what you know about the animals and have to say about the animals.
So there's a story behind that. At the Reptilian Nation Expo, there was a vendor on the opposite side of the room. Like y'all were on the wall over here. Not you personally, but like Blood Moon and them were on this wall, and then on the far back left wall there was I guess a vendor that was talking to a guy that kept bouncing back and forth between her booth and our booth, and she was down talking our geckos and consistently saying negative things. And I was like, okay, you do you. But at the end of the day, that guy came back and he bought a high white lily white from me. And he said he didn't like the way she was talking. So he came back to us and he bought an animal. just like that. And the person isn't from, and I don't know what vendor it was. I just know they weren't from Georgia. They weren't locals. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all. They're
Southern bred,
right. They were just trying to make a sale, and
Mhm.
you know, it's I get it, but at the same time,
There's no need to bring
There's-
negativity
no,
into it.
it's-
You can make a sale without being negative.
oh yeah, somebody like I have people that come to the table and they don't like what I have, but I'm like, hey, my buddy Josh over here's got some super Dalmatians, and my friend Nicole and my buddy Jake, they've got some awesome stuff on the table over here.
Exactly.
You know, you
kind of share
if
the
you're looking
wealth.
for that beardy, go to Scorch and Scalies. He's got some killer reds.
Yep. Awesome.
You know,
dope. But yeah, that's what you want to see in the hobby. You want to be like, oh yeah, I know this guy, he's really good. Or no, I don't have any cappuccinos right now, but I know Tom at Southern Range Exotics. He has a lot of them. He has killer geckos. Go see him. Like, I want you to have the animal you want, because in my mind, if you're getting an animal that you're not all in on, you're not going to put all in on the effort and care on.
You'll develop resentment towards the animal, and then the animal will get less and less care.
Exactly. It may not be like, oh, I don't like this animal like immediately or whatever, but like little microaggressions every once in a while. It doesn't have to be all the time, but just, oh, I'm not going to clean the tank this week.
Right.
Something like that. I clean all of my tanks every week, and like when you look at it, you're like, oh, well, I'll clean a couple tanks, but then you're like, well, why doesn't that one get a clean tank? Like, why does that gecko matter less to them? Or
you make a really good point, because we have a gecko that is literally murder all humans, but he doesn't get skipped. He gets the same treatment as everyone else. We just have to wear a glove.
Exactly. I was like, they deserve love and happiness. Right. Okay. I was like, they all are equal. They're all animals that need attention and help. Oh, yeah. We're the only reason that they're alive. Okay. If we don't take care of them, they're not going to be alive. So we want to make sure you're getting the animal that you're in love with, because I always get the animal that I'm in love with.
That's why we encourage the handling.
We at very minimum change the substrate, which we use paper towels, obviously. We change the paper towels every time we feed.
Every single time.
Every single time, whether they're
unless it's immaculate, which surprisingly some of them are very clean. I don't know how they do it.
A couple of them
but then
freaks, yeah.
Then I hand you a boy named Sunkissed over here who you good?
I do this to remember something.
Okay. He's a painter, so he'll dig in his food and then it'll walk everywhere.
Yeah.
So not only the paper towel's nasty, but the walls are nasty. Sometimes even the ceiling of his enclosure is nasty. And we got to wipe the whole thing down every single time. Every, 3 days?
Every 3 days.
Yeah. That's nuts. But you still got to do it, because it's good for the gecko. You're not doing it for you. It's not about, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to do it. Do it for the gecko.
Yeah.
Now, back to what this was for. Have y'all ever had a gecko have a bathroom section?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a few.
I have a baby that I've noticed like the last month.
He always goes in the same corner,
the same spot.
Yes.
You go to clean it, and there's like 5 little poops in like a little, almost a little bit bigger than a quarter.
Yep.
We have several females that do that. The female Cresties especially do that.
Yeah, that is so wild. I was like, that's so weird. They set up a little like bathroom.
But leopard geckos do that.
Yeah, leopard geckos do that. Knobtails.
Knobtails do it. Yep.
So I think it's actually very common in geckos in general, and there's over 3,800 species of geckos. So imagine that's 3,800 species of animals that are pooping in one spot.
Not gargoyles though.
No, gargoyles poop everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
I think I've seen others do it before, but it hadn't been as common as that one baby has been.
Right, like very consistent. Like
right there, right in the same spot. I'm like, I didn't even have to potty train you.
Maybe give it a little litter box.
I was gonna be like a little cat. All right, back on track. Before we wrap up the show this evening, is there any other tips or tricks that y'all have for breeders or for anyone going to a reptile show?
On the breeder side, if you have a hatchling, check them every 12 hours for at least the first couple days, just to make sure that they're shedding right. Make sure that they're pooping right. We actually had an unfortunate event happen. I had 2 gargoyles hatch, and they were far too small. One of them's perfectly healthy. The other one failed to thrive. He failed to thrive because he became impacted.
Not from something he ate though. He
It was
just
just
didn't poop.
he couldn't poop,
There was no poop anywhere on the paper towels.
and it sucks. But that's even with maintenance, you're still going to have failure to thrive.
I mean, we check on them every 2 to 3 days. The babies, the fresh hatchlings, a little more often, but
yeah, we check them daily usually.
The most common issue we have is the shedding, and I actually have a trick for that. So first off, I start off with a paper towel, and I thoroughly saturate it with reptile water, treated to remove chlorine and chloramine, and I wrap them up in that, not tightly. And I make a gecko burrito, and they sit in that for like a minute or two. And then I take them out, and I dip this eyeshadow makeup brush, which is super, super, super soft, in water, and I just gently brush the shed right off, and it works every time. And it doesn't pull on them, it doesn't pinch them like tweezers might. I know a lot of people use a Q-tip and roll it, but to me, it doesn't help. Like these really soft bristles actually get up under there and pull it away.
Yeah, that's
very gently.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I try to bring one with me to shows too, because every single show someone is shedding, and sometimes they need a little help. So I try to bring them to the shows with me too.
Yeah, you just got to watch for those tourniquets.
Yeah, the ones around the arms, legs, tails, or necks.
Yes, I will say that's why, like you were saying, I check my babies typically daily. One, because I want to look at the baby, be oh cool, it's a new little baby gecko.
Right.
And then 2, watching for shedding issues. Now, for me, I have my temperature ranges and like my humidity levels set to a really good, to where I don't have shedding issues with my geckos. All of my adults, they once in probably like 8 months, like that, like every 8 months, I'll have a little bit of bottom toe shed stuck, but not around the toe.
Yeah, the adults like never have an issue, but at the shows, you can't control the humidity of that room or anything.
Exactly.
Sometimes they struggle a little bit, so I always bring a brush with me to the shows.
So for babies, they are more likely to have stuck shed because they haven't dealt with that before, right?
Well, they're less experienced in removing it.
Exactly. So you have to make sure that you're watching, and like you were saying, the brush is going to be easier. I wet the Q-tip so it's softer, but it's still pretty abrasive. And when you're putting pressure down, even though you don't feel that you're putting pressure down, we're still a bajillion times bigger than that thing. Okay, it's 1.6 to 2.4 grams for the majority of the breeders.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of pressure is going to be a lot, especially if it's on its toe. Okay, so like I probably will get a little makeup brush like that.
Just get it like an eyeshadow makeup brush kit, and it comes with various sizes. So for like tiny babies, use a smaller one. For like juveniles, subadults, you can use a slightly bigger one. I have various sizes, but this is the one I usually use.
So
that's a really good idea.
When I was saying keep an eye on your small ones, the 2 Pearl and Tony kids that hatched, they were both tiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
The average weight of a gargoyle on hatch is between 2 and 3.5 grams. This one hatched out at 1.5 grams.
So the size of a Crestie hatchling.
So it's the size of a Crestie hatchling, and its sibling's the one that got impacted and passed away.
And it was smaller than that.
So this one here, he's already pooping, and he's already eating his crested gecko diet. So he's happy and healthy. So that's just a recap on what I was referring to with the small ones.
Mm-hmm. Now, it does sound a little weird that we're happy about gecko poop.
What did you say? Sorry?
Sorry. I said, now, it may seem like to some of y'all it's a little weird to be so happy about poop. But it is a good thing, especially when you have a lot of geckos.
That's why a lot of breeders use paper towels, especially for babies, so you can clearly see they're pooping.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, exactly, yeah. Especially because their poop is so tiny, it may be on the end of a leaf or something like that in there. So look for it, okay? Be weird looking for shit. But look for shit. Okay?
It's like Easter egg hunting. Just
exactly.
Just don't eat what's inside. You'll be all right.
And be careful. Wear gloves when you're cleaning. I typically don't because I have a good system where I can clean around everything. But when you're reaching into regular tanks and stuff with a lot of foliage, sometimes the poop is still poopy and you're reaching in, and it falls off the leaf onto your hand. So then you have poopy hand. That's no good.
That's why we keep we always keep hand sanitizer in the cleaning room too. So
yeah, we wipe it off, sanitize, move on. When we're done, obviously we go wash our hands thoroughly. But yeah. Especially like when you're dealing with adults, because when you go from females to males, you need to sanitize because your males are going to get frisky.
I don't have that. People say that a lot. I never had that.
We have two boys that almost always will be. Everyone else is pretty chill, but I just tell people just in case, because a lot of people, when they get bit for the first time from their adult, it doesn't hurt, but like you naturally react. You don't want to yeet a gecko across the room. So we tell people when you go from female to male, try and wash your hands or at least sanitize. Try to mask that a little bit.
Yep.
Or handle your males first, clean the male tanks first, and then go to the females.
Yep.
That would help as well.
The only female you got to worry about in our collection is B.
She's so weird.
She thinks you're trying to mate with her regardless of if you handle a male
or not.
With the little squeaks and like shaking her head.
Yep. And then she'll bite you and
she
try
to nibbles. She doesn't do the normal like bite and hold on. Like she'll nibble on you like nom 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 and then let go of you and then go and then do it again.
She's flirting.
She's so weird.
Yeah.
I've never seen a female act like that before. It's so I have it on video. It's actually on our Instagram.
Yeah, it's on our Instagram.
That is funny. I had one of my males do the little squeak like last night, like shake his head. I was like, "Bro, why are you doing
this?" Thing, yeah.
I'm like, "Why are you doing this?" I was like, and he's like one of my most chill like geckos. One of mine, his name's Thor from Hercules and Athena. Hercules came from Altitude Exotics, but like right now I don't have any plans to breed him. He's a beautiful yellow quad stripe, full quad, great structure. But I want him as a pet because of how chill he is and how docile and like awesome, laid back he is. And so I'm keeping him just like as a pet. I probably have like 8 of them right now that I definitely would never sell.
Yeah, we have several like that.
Yeah.
Like Chester and Ezekiel.
Yeah. But I call that squeak the don't touch me squeak.
Exactly.
Because boys can do it too.
Exactly. If you hear squeaks, don't keep petting it just because you think it's cute. No, that's a sign like, hey, get away.
Now, that's not the case for leachianus. If a leachianus squeaks at you, it's trying to talk to you.
Okay.
So they literally have a tweet sound that sounds like a bird.
Yeah.
Like Sakura, when we were holding her here earlier, when I had her like this, she was sitting there tweeting in my ear the whole time.
That's funny.
And it's their way of communication.
We have some Cresties that do it too.
Which I'm sure you do too. If you hold
Athena.
Not like the normal squeak or cracky sound, but it actually sounds like baby birds peeping.
Yeah.
If you hold it up to your ear, you can hear it. Huh?
Is it with the mouth or the nose?
It's through their nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does a little like squeak like constantly.
You have to have it like right by your ear to hear it. But yes, it's an inquisitive sound that they're making.
And that's one of their vocals.
It's actually pretty rare for people to actually take the moment to hear it because it's so quiet.
Yeah, it is. But she does it every single time I handle her. She does the little squeaks.
Yeah, we have a boy from AC Reptiles that does it every single time. It's like little peep, 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 like a baby bird.
Did you know that geckos are the only species of reptile with vocal cords?
I did not know that.
And that's all 3,800 plus species of geckos.
What about snakes?
They hiss. That's not a vocal cord. That's actually their lungs expressing the air.
Yeah, they're just pushing it out with such force that it makes the hissing sound. Like my hognose does it all the time.
Same with an alligator when they do that grumble thing.
Yeah.
It's just air.
Okay.
It's not vocal cords.
Interesting. I did not know that.
So if you listen to gecko, your gecko will have at least 5 different sounds that it makes.
I think I've heard like 3. I heard people had their gecko like bark at them.
Yeah.
Yep, I've heard that.
So if you have a leachianus make like the grudge sound.
Grunting.
Yeah, well, it sounds like the grudge. Like my ass was asleep one night, and she was in the living room playing Xbox, and I had to work at 4 a.m, and she was playing Xbox. It was only like 10 at night,
Yeah.
And the lights were all off in the gecko room, which is our bedroom, and her tank is right next to our bed. So I'm laying there, and all of a sudden I hear. I'm like, what the hell is that? And our bathroom door is cracked just about that wide. I'm like, so I'm ready to fight, and I get up and go flip on the light in the bathroom.
You're reaching for the gun. You're like, where is it?
She's in the corner of her tank, staring at one of the crested geckos, grudging at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, she's just hunting.
Yeah.
But she obviously can't get to them. But
yeah,
she was doing the growl. But I've heard her squeak. I've heard her peeps.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's always squeaking.
Yeah,
always like tweeting, like a quick.
It's so funny how vocal they can be.
Yeah.
Then leachies are like that. Chihuahuas are like that as well. Did you get Rambo out?
No, not yet. They're a lot less noisy than Cresties, though, and leachies. They don't talk much at all.
Chihuahuas are very non-vocal until you pair them.
Okay.
And then they're vocal when they're pairing, but that's about it. They're silent hunters.
Once they get laid, they got a whole lot to say, huh?
Right. Like the average human male, you know. She's trying to find one of the Chihuahuas right now because they're in a bioactive.
No, you're good. One last tip that I had written down here that I wanted to give. When you're buying geckos, breeder or just a goer, make sure that you're thinking of the whole setup cost. Not just, I'm paying $300 for a gecko. You have to think about the tank, the food, all the stuff that needs to go in the tank, all of the supplies, the cleaning supplies that you need, and everything that when you're doing it, so you're fully prepared when getting a gecko. If you're trying to do like if you're just getting one or two geckos and you have the glass tanks, like the regular enclosures, those even at the shows, the prices have gone up now. But like a juvenile to adult tank, $150 to what, $250, $300.
I tried to get Jane. She said no, so I got Rambo.
You got Rambo. Let's see Rambo. Nice. I like camouflage. Looking dope.
He's actually, believe it or not, he's a white collar Chihuahua. His white collar just isn't showing right now because he's kind of fired.
Yeah. And white collar is just the white band right at the neck, right?
Right at the neck, yeah. Mm-hmm. And our female is a white collar as well.
He's got a peachy belly. It's so pretty.
He also has, have you ever seen ARK Survival Evolved, the game? Yeah, well, there's a video game on all sorts of consoles and stuff, but he has the A on his forehead.
Okay, interesting.
It looks just like the ARK symbol.
Uh-huh. Oh, he could have been an Avenger.
Right.
He's got TIE fighters on his back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But yeah, so like I said, always make sure you're considering the whole cost. The food, a little bag of food, $8 to $15 if you have one gecko. That'll last you a couple months. Okay.
Right.
Crickets or roaches, depending on what you want to feed them. Dubia roaches.
Right.
Those are going to be $4 to $10, depending where you go and how many you're getting. If you're getting
just your own colony.
But if you have one gecko for like new breeders, you're not going to have your own colony. But for breeders, I'm working on a dubia roach colony now.
Well, the dubias are mostly for the bearded dragons. The Cresties want nothing to do with the dubias.
The Saracenorums really like dubia.
Yeah.
So what I typically do is my babies and juveniles love the insects, and a lot of my adults don't care for them. So I just blend the crickets into the food, into the Pangea, so they're still getting that. And that's what I'll do with the dubia roaches, with the ones that they won't eat or too big or whatever that are breeding yet.
We have a gigantic bag of dried black soldier fly larvae that we blend into the Pangea as well for a protein boost, especially for the gargoyles because they won't even eat crickets.
Yeah.
I don't know what their problem is, but they won't touch them.
Exactly. So it's kind of nasty when you think of it, I know, but they need the protein and they need the nutrition, and when you're dusting them in calcium with D3, the insects in them, then put them into the the blender. It's graphic, but it's what they need.
Yeah.
Right.
He don't want you today.
No, he don't. He don't want me at all.
That is good. So, Zach and Steph, Do you have anything else you want to let the people know about who y'all are? Anything in either reptiles? What shows you're going up to next?
We're trying to get our foot in the door at Repticon. We're on the waiting list to get at Repticon Atlanta. That's hit or miss. We still
2 weeks. 2 weeks
Yep.
away.
Yep, 2 weeks away. We still help out. Our friends and collaborators. We help out with them at their booth sometimes. So it's we'll always be at shows, whether we're just there helping out friends or for their vending. Our next huge show is actually in August. I think it's 9th and 10th, and that's in
10th and 11th.
10th and 11th, and that's Southeast Reptile Expo.
There's chalkboard right there.
That's a big one.
It's at the Gas South Arena.
Gas South Arena. Yep, that's a big show. That's one I like going to. I haven't been able to vend there yet, but I don't have the stock to do it right now.
Right.
But definitely a huge, really nice expo to go to. So definitely go check out Zach and Steph, Alliance Reptile Kollaboration at Southeast Reptile Expo.
Right.
But yeah,
y'all can hit us up on Instagram or Facebook. Check us out.
Don't be afraid to talk to us, ask questions. We really don't mind.
We're pretty responsive to any questions or any concerns, or if you just want to BS with us. We like bullshitting. That's just how it is,
We also game. We also game a lot. Mostly on Xbox, but a lot of games are crossplay now. So we'll even game with you if you want.
What's your top 3 games y'all playing right now?
Warzone, ARK Survival Ascended, and probably Minecraft.
I play Minecraft with my kids and other friends. I also play Fallout 76. He doesn't have as much time to game.
No,
I do when I'm not doing Gecko stuff. So
I play Baldur's Gate 3 too. So
there you go. Very cool.
And Oblivion, but that's not multiplayer.
Oblivion Remastered,
yeah, that's so good.
That's dope. So a little insight to who your breeders are there.
That's
if you like those games, it's a good breeder to go to, right? All right. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming on here tonight and being on my podcast. I really appreciate y'all coming, sharing your knowledge and love for animals. Love to have y'all on anytime you want to come back on. That would be great. For the rest of you on here, next time on Crestie Conversations, we're going to be talking about tips and tricks on how to calm your gecko down. These aren't going to be immediate. No gecko is just going to respond to you like that. But these are ways that I found but that I've seen help geckos calm down and to be more handleable throughout their life. So, from me and from Zach and Steph at Alliance Reptile Kollaboration, thank you for joining Crestie Conversations here on the Geckoverse podcast channel. I am Josh. Keep it Crestie, bestie.